Today we will be looking at every Disney movie of the 2020s so far. We'll discuss each movie individually, delve into the plots, and share my thoughts on each of them, and highlight what I've liked and didn't like about the movie. Additionally, we'll touch on the general perception of each movie and my thoughts on the future of Disney movies to come. I'll focus exclusively on the movies produced by Walt Disney Animation Studios, excluding Pixar and other Disney-owned studios. Please be aware that I'll be discussing spoilers for each movie, so proceed with caution. Let's begin now with the first Disney release of the 2020s. Raya and the Last Dragon follows a girl named Raya as she undergoes training by her father to protect their sacred gem, which safeguards all the people from the Droon. The Droon are relentless creatures that turn everything they touch into stone. To prevent the Droon from annihilating everything, the Last Dragon, Sisu, and her siblings pulled out all their magic into a single gemstone, which eradicated the Droon. Now, over 500 years have passed, and Raya's father, Chief Benja, safeguards the gemstone in their home in the center of Heart. The gemstone is revered by the people, who have divided Kumandra into various lands, each representing a different part of the dragon's body: fang, spine, talon, tail, and heart. Chief Benja believes that all the tribes can be united once again and invites them for a feast. Imparting hope to Raya, she attempts to befriend another girl from the Fang tribe named Namari, who ultimately betrays her after revealing the location of the gemstone. This act triggers a conflict, resulting in the gemstone being shattered, freeing the Droon. In the chaos, the tribes fight for the gemstone, each taking a piece for themselves. After the conflict, 6 years have passed, and Raya is the last survivor of her tribe. Determined to restore the gems and save her people, Raya embarks on her journey. Along the way, she ends up resurrecting the Last Dragon, Sisu. Sisu, who is somewhat naive and out of touch with the world after centuries of absence, joins Raya in visiting each tribe to retrieve the gemstone pieces. During their journey, Raya learns to trust in others in a world where mistrust prevails. Eventually, all the characters manage to reunite all the gemstone pieces, saving their world and restoring the people and dragons who have turned to stone. Now, this movie hasn't received as much attention lately, and when it is discussed, it often garners mixed reviews. Critics primarily point out issues with the story, and I can see their perspective on this. While the film's premise is promising, it may have benefited from more time to develop its characters, story, and conflicts. Aside from Raya and Sisu, the secondary characters receive limited development, as they are pushed aside to drive the plot forward. A few extra scenes for these characters could have enhanced the story overall. Moreover, some people and critics have raised concerns about the Southeast Asian representation in the film. While I'm not an expert on this subject, it's worth noting that the movie draws inspiration from a mix of cultures, which might explain the perceived lack of cultural specificity. On a personal note, I have some minor grievances with the film, mainly related to the character interactions and plot choices. For instance, towards the end, when Sisu encourages Raya to give Namari a chance to restore the gem herself, Namari still causes conflict despite Sisu placing her trust in her. However, Raya intervenes, resulting in Sisu getting shot, leading to their conflict. Namari partly blames Raya for Sisu's death, claiming it happened because Raya didn't trust Sisu. Yet, Raya initially doubted Sisu only because Namari almost shot her, so it's hard to blame Raya entirely. The movie attempts to make Namari feel remorse for her actions, but it doesn't delve deep enough to fully justify her character's development.
Do whatever you want, but you're as much to blame for Sisu's death as I am.
Additionally, when the group is surrounded by the Droon, Raya realizes that the gem works when everyone who wields it trusts each other. Raya then gives her piece to Namari and the others follow suit. Personally, I would have preferred the opposite scenario, where Namari, after contemplating the importance of trust, decides to give her piece to Raya. Personally, this would have conveyed a stronger message about trust and redemption and could have had a more profound impact on the story's moral. Furthermore, Namari could have apologized for her misdeeds, offering more substantial character development. Despite these critiques, I still hold a positive view on the movie. The animation is skillfully executed, and this film highlights the significance of dragons in various cultures. One memorable scene involves Namari's gang paying their respects to the stone dragons, emphasizing the respect they have for the dragons' contributions. Raya is a well-developed character who, in my opinion, deserves more focus and development in the story. While the film may not be a masterpiece, it remains an enjoyable watch for me, and I revisit it from time to time. Encanto follows a family given a magical gift and a magical candle after the suffering of a major loss in the family. Moving forward to the present, we center around a girl named Mirabel who never received a gift from their Encanto. But despite all that, she's always determined to do her best at what she can do because she knows that no matter what, she cares about nothing more than her family.
I can't just talk about myself. I'm only part of the amazing Madrigals.
Throughout the movie, we see Mirabel do just that, helping out her siblings and family feel more connected with each other after she finds out that their miracle is in trouble. She's trying to figure out what's making the family crumble. With their abuela being the antagonist of the movie, she's trying to instill a belief that if they are nothing but perfect, the Encanto world can continue with them. Abuela doesn't realize that along the way that she forgot why they were given the Encanto to begin with, and Mirabel helps them realize that with the return of a forgotten family member, making their family whole once again. But they all couldn't realize it until they lost what they took advantage of, which made patching things up a lot easier, giving better focus towards the whole family. Now, I know this movie got nothing but praise upon its release, although it really only got popular when it hit Disney+, when people went crazy for it, especially for the music, and rightfully so. The movie has really great music, the animation is very fluid with the characters, it can go over the top without being too ridiculous, and it builds up a really good story for the most part. One of the criticisms for the movie is that not every family member was given a lot of screen time, and I can agree with that, although it does make sense in the context of the story. It focused more on those who were feeling more of the pressure of Abuela's influence, which was Mirabel's siblings. It was also well done to focus on her uncle Bruno, who was really affected after his own gift for a long time brought nothing but misery to people around him, and I would have definitely liked to see more of him and the other family members for sure. Maybe if we got more Encanto one day, this could happen. Another big criticism for this movie is Mirabel and the family being too forgiving towards Abuela at the end. Personally, I think it's very justified. Keep in mind, Abuela wasn't a villain, she was an antagonist towards Mirabel. She didn't do it out of malicious intent, she did what she thought was best for the family. And everything to her had to be perfect to continue the family gift. Mirabel didn't have a gift, so she wasn't seen as perfect. She even admitted she forgot the purpose of the whole miracle was for, and it was for the whole family. Plus, for all we know, Mirabel didn't fully forgive her. Having Abuela admit her faults is a huge step forward to making change and doing the right thing in the first place. All in all, Encanto is a fun, dramatic, funny movie that 100% deserves the attention it has received. It touches on the topic of generational trauma very well in my opinion. It represents a culture that's not always explored a lot, showing that expressing emotions and talking about the past to improve a better future with people you care about can be possible. You just have to be willing to do it. There's not really too much I can say about Encanto without telling you to go watch it if you haven't already. Strange World follows a father and son explorer, both named Jaeger and Searcher Clade, as they live in the city called Avalonia, that's isolated by giant mountains. While traversing different mountains, Searcher discovers a plant that gives off electric energy, and he and his team decide to harvest and take back this plant to use for the city's benefit. However, Jaeger keeps moving forward with his journey to reach the other side of the mountains.
Dad, wait!
Jaeger.
Dad!
You can't survive out there alone.
Dad, stop!
25 years pass, and Searcher is now known as a hero in the city for bringing the plant and overseeing a farm that powers the whole city. Searcher now has a family of his own, his wife Meridian and his son Ethan, who also helps with the family farm. One day, they are informed that the plant is losing more energy faster than usual. That's when the president seeks Searcher's aid in finding the source of the problem. But this means that they need to explore the mountains once again.
Pando's dying, Searcher. You and I, we have an obligation to save it.
Hesitant at first, Searcher eventually makes up his mind for the good of the future of Avalonia. His son Ethan stores away on the airship and his wife follows suit. The family and crew make it as far as they've ever gone before when exploring the mountains, and are attacked by some never-before-seen creatures, which sends them hurtling down into a brand new world unlike any other. Searcher gets separated from the crew in the crash, leading to Ethan going after him while the rest of the crew pursues finding the source of the decaying plant. Searcher runs into some trouble with the local creatures, and someone comes to save him. It turns out it's his long-lost father, Jaeger, who says he's been stuck in this world since the day he left.
I went searching for a new path. The ground gave out, and I found this place.
Oh, so you're stuck down here.
They journey forth and eventually meet up with Ethan. On their way back to the ship, they run into more trouble on the way, but all make it back to the ship. They venture through the treacherous environments and creatures alike. Tensions between grandfather, father, and son escalate until Ethan decides to leave with his father following suit. They wind up steering off the path, which leads them to going outside beyond the mountains. There, they discover that they are living on a giant creature, and the strange world they found was actually an immune system.
And it's looking right at us.
You know what this means, right?
It's judging me?
No.
This is why the creatures are attacking them, as the body is trying to protect itself. And the plant they found, which helps them, is actually hurting the creature, and it's trying its best to get rid of it. With this newfound information, they tell the crew and family what's really happening, much to some's dismay. However, they end up turning around in the end, and after learning the dangers, and come up with a plan to stop the plant from hurting the creature for good. Of course, in the end, they are successful and return to Avalonia, to their new normal world, and also help out the creature they call home now.
We're not quite there yet, but we will be. Because the best legacy we can leave is making a present worth opening tomorrow.
This movie did not get a lot of love upon its release, mainly due to the lack of advertisement. Although, yeah, it's true, there was not a lot of advertisement, essentially setting up its own downfall. The movie sadly only grossed $73 million on a $135 million budget. The only advice I can offer to stay in the loop for upcoming Disney movies that are lacking in advertisement is to follow the proper pages and groups. Basically anything that talks about animation, I only knew about it because of the initial trailer and trying to keep tabs on the movie. Another thing people talked about with this movie is that the world isn't all that interesting, and to an extent, yeah, there isn't a lot to the world that we get to explore. As colorful and vibrant as it is, the world itself seems to have much to be desired, and it left people with more questions than answers by the end of the movie. Questions like how they ended up living on a giant creature's back to begin with, and if there's more to the world than they think. Certainly, it has a lot of potential for more, but it doesn't seem like it'll happen anytime soon, if at all. The movie overall had a cool concept and did what you think they do with it, and that might be its own downfall, of not taking the concept and making something unique with it. In the end, this movie, I'd say, is still good overall. It's not the best to come out of Disney, but definitely not the worst like some initially made it out to be. It's still an overall positive movie that had all the potential in the world, and it only got shafted by its own corporation. Here's hoping that changes for the future of Disney movies though. Wish is the story about the origin of the wishing star and how many Disney movies came to be. It mainly follows our protagonist Asha, who is preparing her interview to become the king's assistant. Their king, Magnifico, is a sorcerer who sailed to their current land and started a kingdom with the queen in the now known Kingdom of Rosas. In this kingdom, when people reach the age of 18, they are allowed to give their king their own wish, which might possibly be granted. During her interview, Asha asked Magnifico if it would be possible to make her grandfather's wish come true, because it's the day of his 100th birthday. Magnifico examines the wish, which to inspire the next generation of people of Rosas. However, King Magnifico says it's too vague to grant, explaining that he could inspire them to do bad things. To add insult to injury, he makes Asha watch as he grants someone else's wish right in front of her. Asha tries to convince her family that Magnifico will never grant most of the wishes, and that she's going to try to get her grandfather's wish back. However, her family is heavily hesitant and believes that Magnifico has a reason for his actions, which leads to Asha questioning her entire life in the kingdom. She ends up making a wish herself, and a wishing star appears right in front of her, granting some wishes here and there, answering Asha's plea to help the people of Rosas. With the help of her friends, they sneak into the castle and Asha reclaims her grandfather's wish, which makes him feel more at ease with what he wants to do for the people of the kingdom. Asha is quickly confronted by Magnifico, who knows that she's the one who's been granting the wishes with the wishing stars since she was exposed by someone. She managed to escape and later finds out that it was her friend Simon who exposed her, and soon after Simon betrays all of his friends for conspiring with Asha. Meanwhile, King Magnifico is constantly consuming dark magic and using the wishes to power it. Asha and her friends try to come up with a plan to stop him. Now with the help of the queen, they plan to take him down, but their plan quickly unravels as Magnifico knew of their plan and takes matters into his own hands. Asha doesn't give up and tries to rally the citizens of Rosas against him. With the power of their wishes, they become too powerful for Magnifico and end up trapping him in a mirror. With the kingdom saved, people try to live their lives by pursuing their own wishes. Due to helping out the wishing star, Asha is granted a magic wand to help more people, and that's where the story ends. So Wish is a hugely mixed movie. Some like it, some don't, but most are very back and forth about it. Mainly, it feels like a half-baked story, and in some ways it kinda does feel that way. Personally, I like the first third of the movie very much, but after Asha's I Want song, it starts to fall. Not significantly, but enough to make you feel kind of meh about how things are going. It just felt rushed in most areas, mostly in the middle and a little bit of the last third, but I think it rose up a little bit in the end with the climax, although it still felt a bit bare. A big criticism for Wish is the music, with some saying it's not up to snuff with other Disney musicals. In some ways I do agree, and in other ways I don't. I very much like the songs This Wish and At All Costs. It was a song that I did not expect between both the protagonist and the villain, even though he's not really a villain yet at that point. I just found it interesting because you just don't see those types of songs enough, and they have a lot of potential to elevate the story, which I think it does a bit here. As for the other songs, I thought both of This Is the Thanks I Get and Knowing What We Know Now were decent enough, although needed a little bit of tightening around the hinges. It was definitely an interesting choice to have the villain song more upbeat and have the hero song a bit darker. However, my least favorite has gotta be I'm a Star. I just did not connect with that one at all. Having an all animal song is all fine and has worked out in the past, but it just felt way too fast. I didn't even fully comprehend it all at first, and it just didn't have a good flow with the words and rhythm. It's a real shame that the soundtrack is a real mixed bag. The songwriters for this film, Julia Michaels and Benjamin Rice, both have backgrounds in pop music, which can work, but it's a bold choice for a 100-year celebration movie. You'd think they'd want to go the full traditional musical route. Another significant criticism is about the animation, with some saying it only looks half done or like they just put a filter over the movie. I can definitely see why people would say that, especially around the characters. At times it does look like there's an outline around them, or they're like trying to blend in with the background, but it doesn't quite work. I believe they generally tried to create something with some style to it, but it feels like they were restricted in doing so. Their excuse for not doing a full 2D movie was because it had limitations, which feels like a strange excuse when animation itself is pretty limitless. If the things you wanted to do were limited, maybe try something else that won't limit the movie or a 2D and 3D hybrid. I personally don't think it's the worst animation ever from a Disney movie, but it certainly leaves something to be desired. In the end, I think the movie is just slightly above average. It's definitely not as bad as some make it out to be, but it's not very good either. It had all the potential in the world, but was filled with too many half-baked concepts and too many characters that could have been reduced in numbers to give more focus to the more important ones. Hopefully, Disney can only go up from here and improve upon themselves. I know for a fact that they can still make great stuff. We'll just have to wait and see how well it reflects on their future movies. So, the Disney movies of the 2020s so far have definitely been a mixed bag for some, with diminishing box office results not helping due to real-world events and such. However, people just want to see new and bold things in a Disney movie that capture good old Disney charm with a new flair. I'm still hopeful for the movies yet to come, although I'm not particularly excited about the 2 Frozen sequels. Here's hoping there's a lot more original movies happen in the near future to show us all that Disney is here to stay in the game.